everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Happy and blessed Monday, and welcome to episode 577 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast, where tonight we're going to have a little heart-to-heart. We're going to have a little real talk about the current state of Hollywood. And obviously, this is going to tie in with the box office discussion because Hollywood once again had a terrible weekend with the box office numbers coming in. But it also will have to extend out a bit because of recent stories, because of recent events, to the much broader topic, which is not all that surprising. And it's something that we've mentioned before, and it's something that, again, anyone who's been paying attention for a long time, it's not really all that surprising. And that is that Hollywood is evil. There is an evil sickness that is pervading Hollywood. And I think the most recent events, whether it be the assassination of Charlie Kirk, whether it be the completely diluted reactions to the Jimmy Kimmel quote-unquote cancellation, which anyone who was actually being honest about it told you exactly what had happened and how the prospects of it being long-term didn't seem very likely. But how all of it really just ties in together about this evil sickness that continues to pervade throughout Hollywood, shows us where their priorities are, and I think should bring a lot of concern. Should bring a lot of concern. Because the unfortunate reality is, though many of us here, especially my amazing community in the chat tonight, even though we are well aware of what's going on, we've been following this for a long time, there's still so many people that just don't know, that just accept whatever it is that's put in front of them. I mention this to my kids every year, right? When we go through Plato's allegory of the cave. And there's this level of the cave that deals with the image makers, the people who control what is seen in that allegory, right? In that allegory with the cave itself, right? There are people that are putting up these images that are being cast onto the wall of the people chained at the bottom of the cave. And even though it's a story about education and people turning themselves away from that false imagery, right? Those shadows cast on the wall, it also brings up that interesting question and point about who are the image makers, who are the people that create the image. It's what the Matrix essentially borrowed from. For those that don't know, right? The Matrix is essentially the allegory of the cave, just using a more sci-fi, quote, modern day interpretation of said allegory. A lot of deep, rich connections there. But what is the most interesting to me is how we can honestly see so much when it comes to how the stories the last couple weeks have been covered, when it comes to the information that's being put out there, when it comes to the information that's being accepted and who's accepting what. It should be concerning, because it's amazing how in our day and age it's so much easier now to break through the noise, to get access to the truth, to get access to real information. But there's still so many that remain chained at the bottom of the cave. There's still so many people that don't see that they're being lied to, that don't see that they are being manipulated in various ways. And we obviously have to keep them in our prayers. We obviously have to pray for the conversion of their hearts. We have to try to reach out to them in the best way that we can. But it's very concerning. Very concerning. And so I think all this, again, stems from Hollywood's just evil. There's just no other way to really say it. By the way, I was just reminded I have to make sure Heimdall is on. I have to make sure that I turn him on. So apologies if you were trying to get your cookie counts, Snortopoopus. I'm going to get that taken care of right now. But anyway, before we start the show, please make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you smash that rumble button as well. If you're watching over on Twitter/X, make your presence known there also. And let's go ahead and say hello to our people in the chat. All right, Heimdall is now running over on YouTube. Thank you all for your patience. So let's go back over to the chat. By the way, if I start coughing a lot tonight, As you all know, I lost my voice last week because of like a post-nasal drip situation. Basically, it's all in my lungs now. So I'm trying to, been hacking, trying to get all this, crap out of my lungs. So it's, a little not hard to breathe, but it's like that very uncomfortable feeling when there's just clearly just muck in there. So anyway, just apologies in advance. If I'll try to mute when I can, so that way I'm not coughing in everyone's ears, as it were, but just gonna get that out there right now. Let me go ahead and try and see if I can clear some up before we get started. There we go. Alrighty, so let's see who is here. We got Snortapoopus Cuber. Hello, humans and other quitters. What's going on, Snortapoopus? Welcome back. Always great to have you here. He also says, hello to me. What's up, Snortapoopus? Thank you for being here. We got Wendy Hunter. Wendy! What's going on, Wendy? Saying hello to you, Wendy. Always appreciate you being here. We got Gary of the Banjo Sandwich Worthington. What's going on, Gary? Saying official Mando Grogu trailer. The leaks were real. Yeah, I finally, I know I had gotten the word that it, released earlier today. Full work schedule. By the way, it was little Freya's birthday. Not little. What did I say? Not little Freya. Baby Sif. My bad. I'm getting my code names mixed up. Baby Sif. It was little baby Sif's birthday today. She just turned 2, which is insane. So I had a lot of that stuff going on too. And so I was finally able, like the 10-15 minutes I get before the stream, just to sit down and ice my back because I'm still having back issues. Story on that in a second. But I was able to finally watch the Mando Grogu trailer. And here's my main takeaway, because I know that some people have questions, and for anyone who actually cares about my opinion on those things. Honestly, it's not that it was bad. It's just that I couldn't believe that it's a movie. Everything about it screams Disney Plus TV special. And I don't think that is going to result in as big of a box office as they think it's going to. Because honestly, when they announced that it was coming into... when they announced that it was getting released in IMAX and that it was being made for IMAX, my immediate thought was, oh yeah, like how sometimes those TV specials, remember Game of Thrones did that, right? They'd have their premiere in an IMAX screen or something, right? But instead I had to remind myself, no, this is supposed to be like a full-fledged movie. So I don't think, even with the title coming up on the screen, I was like, this is just not screaming movie. I think that it's going to get that kind of a treatment. I think there's going to be a lot of people that just don't go to see it. And it's because obviously there's so much apathy when it comes to Star Wars, and that's just not going to change. And even Mandalorian, right, is not nearly anywhere close to the heights that it at one point was. It used to be the hottest show, right? That first season was, again, for a Star Wars era, Disney era Star Wars content, it was one of the best things that they had at the time. In hindsight, it's still probably one of the best things that they've ever done. Doesn't mean that it's great in comparison to the original trilogy. Doesn't mean that it really holds up to scrutiny or to time, especially after all of the stuff that happened between them and Gina Carano and how they treated her. But nonetheless, I think the biggest issue that movie is going to have is convincing people that they don't have to watch the entire Mandalorian series to get it. The only saving grace, and again, this is something we sometimes have to remember, we can't underestimate. The only saving grace that it might potentially have is the Grogu factor. Because there are going to be a lot of women, especially, who are going to really want to see Grogu on the big screen. I will say, it doesn't seem like Grogu is as big as it once was when it first came out. So I don't think it is really held on as much as some of the other, IPs and some of the other characters and character designs especially. But yeah, it's be interesting to see how that does. I'm getting TV vibes from it, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think that's going to impact its box office. Gary also says, are Angel Studios the new place to go for stories? Just watched The Senior. It was enjoyable. Yeah, I gave it a decent score over on Critic List, right? A 59%, I believe, was the score I gave to it, because it still has that kind of that Angel Studios typical cheesiness. But I did like how it wasn't bashing you over the head with the faith stuff like sometimes the Angel Studios films do. But even so, the faith stuff that was in there kind of felt shoehorned in and almost felt rushed in a certain light. So Yeah, I mean, shout out to Angel Studios. They gave me an early screener of that to see, and I was able to share that out on social media as well. And I think that's worth seeing in theaters, especially if you want to support a studio that's not evil. If you want to support an actual studio that is trying to tell family-friendly stories and trying to be better and to do good. And by to be better, I don't just mean like in film quality specifically, because they're not quite there, but at the very least, ethics to a certain degree. Gary Banjo Sandwich saying, Tulsa King is back. Now he's in the booze business. Oh, don't spoil anything. I've not been able to watch the most recent episode yet. Gary then says, trailers drop Tuesdays usually, but somehow they all drop today. Funny how a Mando trailer sparked a trailer change this week. Yeah, I don't really follow a lot of the trailers, to be perfectly honest. So many trailers these days give so much away. I think it's like I'm kind of over trailers because I don't want to know everything about the story. And like, unless it looks like a really cool trailer that I actually want to see, I'm probably going to avoid it just to avoid spoilers, not to see the whole movie. Alrighty. Gary was coming in hot this morning, this early evening before the show. He then says, final Alien Earth episode this week. Yay, it's nearly over. It's pure rubbish. Agreed. Cannot wait for it to finally be over. Let's see. We got Forever Sci-Fi. Hail to you, Forever Sci-Fi. Thanks for being a member here on the channel. We got Thanatos Felicitas hanging out at 723. What's going on, Thanatos? Always great to have you here. We got Mr. Roy, who is a member, chosen of Valhalla member here on the channel, saying, hello, what's going on? Welcome. JS Pena saying, ahoy, ahoy to you, JS Pena. Stone Wolf 2077, what's up? Hey, thanks for being able to catch a live stream. Appreciate you. Kagan Remsky saying, I'm watching 2 FN tiers tonight. Can you guess the other one? My guess is the FML podcast with Ryan and Vera Dark. That's my guess. Jeremy Sikowski, evening Odin, everyone on here. Jimmy Kimmel is back, and I could care less. Yeah, that's going to be a part of that discussion about how Hollywood is just, at this point, even more clearly pure evil. We got Jasmine Dragon. Hey, what's up, my dude? What's going on, Super? I know that's you. What is going on? We got the Climber Bros. What's going on, Climber Bros? Saying, how's it going, my man? How's it going with you? Welcome back. Jimmy A, who is a member. Hail, chat, and Odin. Hail to you. We got Keep It Retro. What's going on, Keep It Retro? Doing well. Sporting my OMB Reviews t-shirt today, actually. Interesting. Not a lot of people have bought those, so you are in a very elite club, to say the least. We got Gary Benja Sandwich saying here, long-term could mean a week if you know the right people. Huh? Jimmy A, it was pretty obvious ABC was going to cave in after the backlash. See, here's the thing, Jimmy A. Do not for a second give them any credit whatsoever. That is not what happened here. Remember, we have to go back. Why was Jimmy Kimmel pulled? It was not for politics. It was actually not even because of the FCC. It was because of the market. It was because the, two of the biggest owners of the local networks, the local affiliate networks, right? Remember, ABC, right, has that national identity, national brand, but they extend themselves out to local affiliates. And there's some of these markets where there are several affiliates that all are underneath one umbrella, right? There's a company that owns a group of different affiliates. And I think it was about a third of their affiliates came together and said, no, we're not going to continue to air Jimmy Kimmel's show because we think that his comments were gross. We think that his comments are not going to appeal to the general audience. And basically, it was a financial decision. You add on top of that the fact that there were some advertisers calling in too, saying, hey, this is impacting our bottom line. The decision was made for monetary reasons. So please don't buy into the mainstream narrative. It was not because he was canceled. He was never canceled. He was never fired. Instead, it was put on indefinite hiatus because they could not deal with the fact that their affiliate networks were not going to carry the show. The big question, and I don't know if it's been answered yet, because ABC can say whatever the heck it wants to, but ABC might be saying we're going ahead with the show. Are the affiliates going to go ahead with the show? Because if that same group, right, that's about a third of all the affiliates, if they still say no, not until you do X, Y, or Z, and if they don't actually hit those marks, if they don't actually fulfill whatever it is those affiliate networks want, it's not going to matter if he's back, Because if they're having now to cancel a third of their sponsorships, a third of their ad revenue, right? That's the mainline ABC branch there. That's a huge, I mean, you're already talking about a show that's not paying for itself. That's going to make it even worse. So, again, a couple different things here, right? So for one, don't give any credit to the whole backlash, okay? The backlash was disgusting for a variety of reasons. The backlash was based on a bunch of lies that are continuing to be perpetuated by a lot of people in the media. And we should not give them an inch when it comes to trying to write the story. They're going to rewrite the story. They're going to rewrite history just like they always try to do because they think they can get away with it. Don't let them. Because that's not what happened here. Guillermo Gage, thank you very much for being a member or following over on Guillermo, on Rumble, I should say, saying, how do you reconcile covering the box office while hating Hollywood? Part of it could be that not everything in movie theaters is Hollywood movies. Yeah, that's obviously a big part of it, but also box office is data. Box office is numbers. So I'm still able to talk about the box office numbers, and oftentimes, right, if I have other comments to make about a specific movie or a specific director or producer or company, I'll throw those in there. I make no bones about it, right? Calling them out. King and Rumsky saying, okay, let's have it. What specifically set you off to bring up this topic tonight? We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there. It's something that shouldn't be that all surprising to anybody. Justin C. Good evening, Odin and chat. Good evening to you, Justin C. Wendy Hunter, agree completely with you on the state of Hollywood. It is just, again, evil. Micah D2, amen, amen. Thank you, Micah. Snore Poopus, thank you. Appreciate it. EX Voot. What's on X Voot? Saying, hello, sir. I hope you feel better soon. Appreciate it. Wendy Hunter, thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that. Keely Chow, what is going on? We got Guillermo Gage leaving $1 Rumble rant saying Cheeto Drumpler apparently is a wishy-washy dictator if he allowed Jimmy Kimmel back on the air so quickly. Again, this was not anything else other than financial, and he was coming back no matter what. Like, there was a very limited situation where he actually would have been off the air for an extended period of time, right? And it was very clear that from the beginning, before any backlash happened, they were in talks from the very beginning. So again, we've been calling this out for a couple of days now, saying, just watch, right? Eventually, when he does come back on the air, everyone's going to pat their back saying, we did it. We stood up for freedom of speech. It's like it had nothing to do with it. You just made this up because you did not like the fact that the whole media cycle was being taken up by a murder of an innocent person for simply having an opinion, and you just had to have everything focused on you. That's what it comes down to. It's a sickness. It's an illness. They cannot for a second allow for anyone else to be given empathy, for anyone else to be given any actual sympathy or love, because it always has to come back in on themselves. It's a sickness. It is a sickness, and it's disgusting. We'll talk about it, though. Forever Sci-Fi. At the end of the day, they haven't saved Kimmel's showing. It is a dead model. I can go to YouTube anytime I want to watch what I want. Exactly. This is a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, and I would not be surprised, especially, again, we don't know what he's going to say, right? He doesn't come back on the air until tomorrow. We don't know what the affiliates have done, and again, at least I don't know what the affiliates have done yet, so do they even carry his show? Does a third of the country just not get the show anymore? I don't know. Are they going to be able to afford going forward with something like that? Did he make any promises that he would apologize to the affiliates? Like, not apologize to anyone specifically, but at least to the ABC affiliates? I don't know. Micah did too. I appreciate that. Thank you. Grabthaw's Hammer saying, saw Demon Slayer in IMAX. Pretty stunning. I've heard a lot of good things. Thanatos, Disney will not be able to hide the suck. Yes, this is true. This is true. Kaylee Chow saying, hail Odin, how are you? Thor, Freya, and Baby Sif doing? How was your weekend? Everything was good. Everyone is good. And Baby Sif is too. She passed out pretty quickly tonight too. I have the camera up on my other screen, and I actually got to go up and wish her a happy birthday one more time. And by the time I got downstairs to look at the camera, she was already passed out. It's like, dang. She was still awake when I went in there. Banjo Sandwich saying, hail Sif, baby. Birthday joy to you. Absolutely. She got her first bike today. It's one of those balance ones where you use your feet to like move yourself along and teach you how to balance. First time ever having this thing. And she was already, we went to this like it's not a big hill at all. It's like more of like a elevated, so you can kind of, the bike can go downhill just very slightly, not fast. She was already lifting her little feet up. She was already balancing. It was insane. First time ever having it, and she was already doing it. I feel so bad for my son because he's struggled with that a lot. And she was already like day one doing it better. CL99, if Hollywood never went woke, do you think the box office would be like it once was in the 90s, 2000s? I mean, it would probably not reach the same levels and heights because, streaming is obviously a huge factor. But I definitely think we can still see times, for instance, right, we keep going back to some of the big hitters out there. We talk about Spider-Man No Way Home during COVID, right, when everyone was saying there's no way for the box office to recover. You obviously have the terrible Avatar movies. They still make money somehow. You have Top Gun Maverick. You have, again, a plethora of films that have been able to kind of break through. And, you even have examples of day-and-date release model situations, right? You think about how Five Nights at Freddy's came out in theaters same date as it went on streaming. Like that's an even bigger surprise because it wasn't like it went on VOD the same day where you had to pay like $20. No, if you just had a subscription, you could have watched it the same day. And what happened? The film did very well at the box office, had a surprisingly high opening weekend. So they can clearly break through. So even though I don't think the numbers would have been as high, if the films were better and the films were not political and the films were giving fans what they wanted to, I don't think the drop-off would be as significant. I think you'd be getting a lot more consistent numbers. Wendy Hunter, thank you very much for sending those birthday wishes to her. Shorty Short, hello everyone. Hello, Shorty Short. The Mono Major General story. What's going on? Shorty Short saying here, Baby Yoda running around inside IG-88 droid with the no button was pretty hilarious. You mean from the show? Was that in the... Did they do that in the trailer this time? I don't remember seeing that in the trailer. Geek64, I thought Mando and Grogu trailer looked meh. Just felt like the show and not a movie. And season 3 of Mando was terrible. I see it doing solo numbers at the best with the box office. Geek Troop 64. I don't think there's any falsity in that statement. I think that is the most likely scenario. I think that's the most likely result. No doubt about it. Rob D, hello, Odin. I think for Halloween this year, you should be a shill. Not sure what you'd put together for a costume, though. I could dress up like John Campea, amongst many others, right? We could go to like the shills of the years of the past and be able to find something. No, I think I mentioned it before. The early costume for this year that we're considering is going as Team Rocket. So I'd go as James, wife would go as Jesse, and then my son would be Meowth, so that my daughter could then be Pikachu because we'd be trying to steal Pikachu. My son came up with that part. Let's see. Laura saying, my favorite part of the Mando show was his ship, and they blew it up. So Disney Star Wars, seriously. It's exactly a Disney Star Wars move to do that. Morak, a little late to the stream tonight, but ready to go. Only a little bit. Thank you for being here, Morak. Appreciate you. Laura saying here, LOL, it's probably Jeremy. He's like a Twitch streamer now, always on. Dude, seriously. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very, very good point. Yeah, he's been streaming like a madman. It's insane. My back could not hold up to his streaming schedule, and my goodness, so much content. Sahil99, I've got the Regal Pass. I just bought a ticket for a senior for tomorrow, even though I won't be able to see it. I'm guessing the money still goes to the studio, and it only cost me 54 cents. Nice. Good job, Sahil99. Yeah, I've always wondered that myself. I think that there's some, I'm sure it's like broken down somewhere, but to my knowledge, that is probably one of the ways that the theater might get a little bit more back is if you're buying it through the subscription, they give maybe like the bare minimum to the studio. I don't know. It is an interesting thought, though. Either that or they just give the equivalent of the value to them. I don't know. See, Guillermo Gage for another Dala Rumble rant. Thank you, Guillermo Gage. Saying, if I didn't already know your values and taste, people might guess that you're talking about Angel Studios movies flopping. Is you mocking them for failing to live up to Sound of Freedom? Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you know me. I'm not, I don't go that route. I'm trying to be honest with the numbers. And I even mentioned in my video saying, look, I'm not, Angel Studios is kind of its own thing. It's hard to say whether it's a success or a failure because of how they fund their movies. But I do think that comparing it to Sound of Freedom is still legitimate because they're still chasing it. I mean, they released a movie called Sound of Hope. I'm sorry, but what else are you trying to do? You're trying to recapture that same magic when you call it Sound of Hope, right? Sound of Freedom, Sound of Hope. Now, they had a longer title to that one, right? Because it's a true story of church in Possum Trot. And it was actually a very powerful story, too. It was one that I actually thought was well worth watching. Dealt with adoption and the importance of fostering and adopting kids and how many kids are oftentimes just kind of abandoned. It was very important. It's still just, again, was not able to get anywhere close to the same magic. And obviously, again, we think about the subject matter, and that's a huge factor as to why Sound of Freedom did as well as it did. But I think it's still fair to make the comparison. But yeah, I really think some people might be trying to go after the studio for any old reason and not for, legitimate criticism. Let's see, Kinky and Rumsky, great guess, but I'm watching Ryan do his sports show. Ah, yeah. So wait, you're watching at the same time? Bro, come on, man. Come on, man. Johnny Ortiz, what's going on? Welcome. Guillermo Gage goes on to say, Sound of Freedom, sort of a fluke, and these low-budget movies usually aren't intended to recapture the same money except maybe Cabrini. The next actual ambitious Angel Studios is 0 AD. Yeah, I mean, Cabrini cost quite a bit. Now, it didn't cost Angel Studios as much because the budget that we were given was how much the main producer spent on the movie. Remember, Angel Studios is not the one who produces every movie they put out. Right? In the case of The Senior, it was one that they put out. So... Micah D2, no, it is not a premiere. Shorty Short, OMG, your Pizza Time shirt gets so many comments every time I wear it. Nice. I'm glad. There you go. There's a real story. If you want to get a Pizza Time Odin shirt, they're still available. Guillermo Gage for another $2 Rumble rant. Even Cabrini was being filmed probably before Sound of Freedom. Surprise, dropped, and overperformed. Again, two things can be true at the same time. Sound of Freedom could have overperformed, and it did. But it's also true that the other films just have not been able to recapture it. But not just that, they've been doing very low numbers. We're talking, most cases, single-digit numbers. And again, that doesn't mean that they're flops. But it also doesn't mean that they are making that much of a mark either. Jasmine Dragon just saw a post from Sinclair Media's official Twitter saying they will not rebroadcast Kimmel's show tomorrow night. This is going to get interesting. Ooh, baby. That is interesting. Jasmine Dragon. That's how I told you, right? ABC can say whatever they want. But remember, the first thing, if we're going to be honest, the first thing that triggered all of this was it was the affiliate saying, we're not going to show this. Because he made despicable comments, not lowering the temperature, and these comments are going to impact a large portion of our viewer base. That means, guess what? It's a financial decision. So, yeah, if Sinclair will not rebroadcast, we think about whatever the other one is. If they won't rebroadcast, I want to say it was about a third of their box office. Micah, why are you confused? Why are you confused? Why would I be pulling up comments if this wasn't a live stream? What are you doing, man? Come on. You're better than this. Shorty Shore, the FCC won't let me be, or let me be me. So let me see. Oh my goodness. Too many rhymes, Laura. Too many rhymes. The FCC won't let me be, or let me be. So let me see. Yeah, isn't that, oh man. Is that Eminem? The FCC won't let me be, or let me be me. So let me see. Because it feels so empty without me. Now this, I don't know all the lyrics to that one. So this looks like a job for me. So everybody. La 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 la. Luke Zilla, what's going on? Welcome. Guillermo Gage, just very focused on this, on these questions. I thank you very much for the $2 Rumble Rant saying, interestingly, I haven't seen your reply yet, but I wasn't even reacting to Gary Banjo's talking about Angel Studios. Okay? Kimmel might be back, but at least we don't have to put up with the Colbert anymore after May of 2026. Yeah, it's kind of funny, too, how he's like, oh, I'm so proud that I got this Emmy. It's like, it was a sympathy Emmy. Like, how does it feel to be like, oh, yeah, I got a sympathy Emmy? All right, so let's kind of talk about the main topic tonight, right? Why I felt compelled to put in the title, Hollywood is Evil, and obviously tie it in with the box office conversation as well, because I do think that they are intimately tied together. And so we're not going to do our money talk yet, so hold off on asking for the box office and mathematics segment. Let's just talk about the thing that kind of triggered me today. All right, triggered me today. Shouldn't be that surprising. I did share it out on social media earlier. And so as you can see, we have this from Variety. 400 celebrities join with the ACLU to protest Disney's Kimmel suspension, including Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, and more. 400 celebrities join with the ACLU to protest Disney's suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. The reason why this proves without a shadow of a doubt that modern Hollywood especially is evil is by the fact that 400 celebrities are willing to put their names publicly on a list to support somebody who was directly impacted by the market. Again, it was a market decision that led to ABC pulling his show because their affiliates started to say, no, we're not going to show this guy anymore. He is raising the temperature too much, and this is not good for us. Financial decision. Not the FCC coming in, not the, quote, Trump administration coming in to cancel him. No, this was a market decision. ABC and Disney's, they had their hands tied by this, basically. And someone mentioned earlier, apparently, at least one of the affiliate networks or group of affiliate networks has said they're not going to rebroadcast this tomorrow. So clearly there has not been any apology from Kimmel to the affiliates, or at the very least, not anything to the degree that they would feel confident and comfortable enough to actually show that content anymore. But even though we know this, right? Even though it does not take a lot of brain power to understand this, 400 celebrities, 400 Hollywood celebrities put their name out there. You know what these 400 celebrities didn't do? They did not put their name on anything to support the Kirk family. They did not put their names out there saying, we denounce and completely condemn this violence. In fact, I would probably argue that many people, if not most of the people on that list of 400 people, didn't say a darn thing about the murder of Charlie Kirk. So what this is telling me is that celebrity class, Hollywood class, they think a fake cancellation, because that's what this is. It was a fake cancellation. No one actually, if you were being honest, no one thought he was actually canceled. I know that was what the headlines were. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel's fired. Jimmy Kimmel's canceled. No, I'm sorry. ABC pulled him temporarily because of a financial issue. Putting it most simply. That's what happened. And so for celebrities, they think that is more important than someone being murdered, someone being assassinated for doing nothing else other than sharing his opinion and asking people to engage in dialogue. He was essentially doing what a modern-day Socrates would do. Socrates was known for just setting himself up in public places to talk, to have questions, to do dialogue, right? People would come up to challenge him. Think of it as Socrates was the first prove me wrong. The first change my mind, whatever name you want to put on it. Socrates was one of the first. You know what happened to him? That was actually a case of the state coming in and canceling him by killing him, by blaming him for all of the ills of society, even though, guess what? Guess whose fault it was? Oh, that's right. It was the government's fault. It was the corruption within the government. It was the moral degradation and corruption. It was the moral evil that had befallen Greece that had especially befallen Athens because of the teachings of this group of people called the Sophists. Not going to go into too much detail there. Basically, these people who said, there's no such thing as good or evil. Whatever's good for you is good for you. Whatever's evil for me is evil for me. That's all that really matters. Kind of similar to our modern day. The only difference, of course, being, no, the people that are all about, oh, no, you can't put your religious values on me. You can't put your morality on me are the same ones who also say, but in our cult, we can say, oh, no, if you don't accept this morality, it's not that you can just have whatever opinion you want. No, no, no. You're canceled yourself for having that opinion. No, no, no. You're a Yahtzee. You are whatever terrible name that we can give to you, so much so that we will demonize you so that someone will take your life. That's what happened. These foreigner celebrities, I imagine many of them are probably part of the big reason as to why we live in such a state in our country where people can literally be slaughtered for having an opinion. Oh, but no, these foreign people, no, these foreign celebrities, we can't talk about that, no. We can't have any sympathy, we can't have any empathy, we cannot say a darn kind word or condemn any act of violence. Can't do that. Oh, but, oh man, Jimmy Kimmel got taken off because of a financial decision. Oh no, he got canceled. Oh goodness. Spare me. It's ridiculous. That's what it is. It's evil. That's what it is. So this story to me just helped to confirm that. If anyone does not still think Hollywood is evil, you need only look at this story. Again, 400 celebrities put their name onto a fake, made-up cancellation, but they're not willing to lift a finger in many of these cases to say anything about the murder of an American citizen for having an opinion. It's sick and it's disgusting. Anyway, these are the people. Tom Hanks, Jennifer Aniston, Meryl Streep, Jamie Lee Curtis. At least with Jamie Lee Curtis, I believe she was at least on a podcast saying something nice. So, hey, at least there's one. Jason Bateman, Martin Short, among members of the Hollywood community who have signed an open letter with the ACLU protesting Disney's decision. The letter says that efforts to pressure artists, journalists, and others with retaliation for their speech strike at the heart of what it means to live in a free country. Where were you with strikes at the heart of what it means to live in a free country? Where in the heck were you when someone got killed? Jimmy got basically a week off, a little over a week off, because of a financial matter. But oh no, that is a strike at the heart of what it means to live in a free country. No, not the guy that got murdered because of your crazy ideology. No, that evil, pure evil. They then go on and say, we found ourselves in the modern McCarthy era, facing exactly the type of heavy-handed government censorship. Again, the government did not do anything in regards to ABC's decision. Just because Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, makes a comment on a podcast does not mean that that is the reason as to what decision and why they came to the decisions that they did. And if he was actually, quote unquote, canceled, if it was actually because of the government, why is it that it's only been a little less than a week and they're already saying, oh yeah, by the way, he's going to return on Tuesday? And what's interesting here is it says Disney plans to bring Jimmy Kimmel Live back on ABC's broadcast network beginning on Tuesday, the company said in a statement. The network had pulled the show days after the host made comments linking the alleged killer of conservative activist Charlie Kirk to President Donald Trump's MAGA movement. That's putting it very kindly, CNBC. The late-night host will address the matter during her show, set to be taped on Tuesday, according to a person familiar with the matter, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the internal matters. Of course, take that always with a grain of salt. The decision was announced nearly a week after ABC said it was suspending the late-night show indefinitely. The network had pulled the show days after the host made comments linking the alleged killer to conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Again, you could also just say American citizen Charlie Kirk. Can't do that, though. Says, last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversation with the Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached a decision to return the show on Tuesday. Again, this was always a part of the plan. It was for him to return. Local stations owners learned of the show's return on Monday when Disney made the public announcement. So it says here, Jimmy Kimmel Live was suspended after Nexstar Media Group, which owns more than 200 broadcast TV stations across the United States, announced its station's affiliates with ABC would preempt Kimmel's show. Sinclair, another large broadcast TV station owner, similarly threatened to preempt the program. This is, again, the issue. When you dive into these stories, they actually will tell you the truth, surprisingly. Now, again, you don't typically get this from the mainstream media. You don't get this in all the little mini clips going out there. Interestingly enough, you didn't get the 400 celebrities, silent as a group when it came to Charlie Kirk. Silent, complete silence. Death of an American citizen because of ideology that they ascribe to. Silent on that. Oh, but Jimmy Kimmel gets punished by the market because he made comments that was impacting the bottom line of some of these companies. And even they and the media are still willing to, at the very least, say, oh, yeah, the reason why he was suspended was because you had a huge portion, almost about a third, I believe, in total, of their affiliate network saying, we're not going to carry the show. We're going to preempt the show, meaning they're not going to show it. Meaning, guess what? Any deals that they had, any, what's the word I'm looking for? Any advertising deals that they may have had, gone. By preempting the show, it's gone. Those contracts are canceled. That's a lot of money being left on the table. Now, it said here, Sinclair said in a release last week that it would not lift the suspension on Jimmy Kimmel Live until it had a formal discussion with ABC regarding the network commitment to professionalism and accountability. Representatives of Nexstar and Sinclair didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on Monday on whether the affiliate stations would air Jimmy Kimmel Live. And again, it sounds like at least one of them, it sounded like at the very least Sinclair was not going to air it. Anyway. Whew. Let me get back to the comments. Calm down a little bit. They're evil, though. Pure and simple. And I know, to be more nuanced, obviously, I'm talking about the embracement of evil. I'm talking about people doing evil things, embracing evil ideas. Because I still very much hold in my heart that people are not evil. People can do evil things. People can be obsessed with evil, right? Evil can definitely influence the hearts and minds of a lot of different persons. I think a lot of the people in Hollywood are very much influenced by evil in various ways. But as a collective group, as an entity, I think that to say Hollywood specifically is evil, I think is very accurate. Is very accurate. Give me 1 second because I've got a little knock at my door. Hey, buddy, I'm working right now. Oh, good job, buddy. Can you ask your mom? Yeah, can you just ask her to come down and help? Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Little knock on the door. I pooped. Good job, buddy. That was little Thor. That was little Thor. Hopefully the wife is upstairs paying attention. Keely Chow, I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so very much. Worst case scenario, I'll just put the B right back up. Shorty Short, happy birthday, Sif. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. EJS Pena, happy 15th to Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Believe it or not, despite being a family show, it handled comic events and characters better than most of the MCU. Nice. Jimmy A. For a show costume, you need a shirt with a Thor Love and Thunder logo on it, baseball cap, and a Ray action figure. Oh, I don't think I want to buy those things. Forever Sci-Fi, he used to struggle to put out car videos. Next year, he'll probably be putting out a Mario video every day because Galaxy will be in the movie. Jeremy is our favorite shill. Yes, indeed, especially when it comes to Nintendo products. Hardwick, did you see the trailer for the upcoming Zachary Levi movie, Sarah's Oil? It looks potentially good. I did not see it. Kagan Rumsky, I bet Sinclair playing Bugs Bunny cartoons beats Kimmel's ratings. That's the thing I'm most interested in. Because was it Sinclair that said they were actually going to show a memorial to Charlie Kirk instead? I kind of want to know what those numbers are. Kaylee Chow, always leaving early. Geek64, Angel Studios doesn't spend much on advertising, so those big numbers will only get reached, again, through word of mouth, viral marketing, but small budgets that make profit and get distribution is fine. Yeah, as I said, they're kind of their own animal, so I can't really ever speak to how successful or not successful Angel Studios movies are, but ultimately they're just, again, they're not reaching the same audience. They're not getting anywhere close to. That's the issue. They're not growing. Their audience is remaining the exact same. And it doesn't matter how you're able to kind of pay for things down the line. Costs get bigger as the years go by. So if you're not growing, you are essentially dying. So then I was at least saying I miss George Carlin so much. Man, there'd be so many. Basically, George Carlin would have gone one of two ways. He would either have woken up and would have been just open and honest about the nonsense going on, or he would have gone like, full TDS. Wendy Hunter says, nice rapping. I appreciate that. Rob D, have you been able to listen to any more of the Star Wars audiobooks? I finished X-Wing Solo Command and started Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina. I've not been able to, haven't had the time. Once work starts to back up again, it's like I kind of lose all time. Hardwick, did you see Zachary Levi's video about Charlie Kirk? It was very heartfelt and touching. I didn't, but he's one of the good ones. He's one of the ones that he doesn't have to agree with every single thing Charlie Kirk would have said. He at the very least has the decency and the humanity to say something. Wendy Hunter, that is shocking so many people protest and didn't look up the truth. Yep. They blindly will believe anything mainstream sources will put in front of them. Is that pronounced QQ? Guillermo Gage, thank you for another Rumble rant. Sinclair is an ABC affiliate, also is the gas station from Toy Story, a Disney movie that was just recently released the same week. Coincidence? I think not. I say, coincidence? I think not, says Incredibles teacher. Yeah, but I think Sinclair is one of the largest of them. Again, I don't understand how all of the mechanics of it works. All I know is that Sinclair has a very powerful voice, and Nexstar is a very powerful voice. Caveat ties, what's going on? Grapthos Hammer, tag say, not a small number of geniuses are saying Kirk Memorial Service really looks like a Yahtzee rally. I know, seriously. And it's it's just crazy that there are people who are saying things like that. Because, look, you can be critical of any of the political tones that may have been brought up in some of the different speeches, because I think that's a legitimate criticism. I think that definitely is something that could be brought up, but to try to then, and especially with that comment, Grafthar, it's because of comments like that he died in the first place. It's because you have a side painting another side as being nothing else other than Yahtzees, and just like Germany and fascists, right? Labeling these things, saying this is a danger to our democracy. When you hear phrases and expressions like that over and over and over again, it dehumanizes the people that you're talking about. And it's going to drive someone like the guy that took out Charlie Kirk to act the way that he did. That's why it's purely at the feet of that ideology. Forever Sci-Fi, when was the last time they stood up for a conservative actor? Oh, right. They're too busy blackballing them. Yeah, that's a great point. Any actor that shows any sense of being quote-unquote conservative in the modern day, they're blackballed. I mean, even Zachary Levi, right? Look at his career track and trajectory. I think there are certain things that he's doing that are definitely his own choice versus necessarily a full-out, blackballing. But you could definitely see, right, that has impacted him. And it's crazy because for him, he was an RFK Jr. guy. Like that's kind of where he was at one point. And RFK Jr. guys, they are not what you would consider in any way to be your quote unquote conservative voices. It's crazy. Jose Taco at 811. Odin will on stage still not show Jimmy. Will on stage still not show Jimmy. Again, according to Jasmine Dragon, they are playing hardball. Jimmy A, anytime you hear a bunch of celebrities get together and make a sign, an open letter, you know it's going to be bad. Yeah, seriously. Because they're not the smartest. They're not the brightest bulbs in the bunch, as they say, right? They're not the brightest bulbs in that bunch. But the fact that they even still went out of their way to put their names onto something and try to say, oh, this is such a danger. This is so crazy. This is so dangerous. But then we're silent on someone who was actually murdered just a few days prior is insane. Again, it's evil. That's the only way about it. If you feel more sympathy and empathy for a multimillionaire who is being punished by the market, you have more sympathy for them to the point you're willing to put your name onto a document, but you don't have anything close to that for an innocent person being killed for an opinion, I'm sorry. You kind of lose any moral high ground. You kind of lose any sense of being called moral in any way. In fact, I think you now have earned the right to be described as a part of an evil group. Pure and simple. Jeremy Zakowski, it's not Little Thor, it's Mighty Thor. Or Mighty Little Thor, I see. Jasmine Dragon adding some further context here saying, allegedly, affiliates that dropped him are waiting on the FCC's approval for a merger. So I don't love them. But I agree 100%. Kimmel spent years playing a stupid game and won his stupid prize. Yeah. And again, those are allegations. But I think anyone with a brain can see, no, I mean, it's a financial choice. My Brigette saying, hey, Odin, I just started the Terminalist prequel show Dark Wolf. It's as good as the original series season finale is Wednesday. I've heard great things about it. It's on my watch list, so I definitely plan on checking that out soon. Hardwick. Zachary Levi said he agreed with Charlie Kirk on most things, albeit not all. He did the stream live on Instagram, and some people were posting nasty comments to him, like cancel this crybaby. Of course they were. Of course they were. Because that's the actual cancel culture. That's the actual cancellation attempts. Financial and responsibility and really being held responsible for your nasty comments is not the same thing as being canceled for your opinion. Right? An opinion is something to the effect of, I think this economic policy is best, or I like this political party best for X, Y, and Z. That's an opinion. Taking joy in or justifying or overall just ignoring the humanity of somebody to say discussing things that really just continues to add to the fire that led to the actions in the first place. Not the same thing. On most things, not end most things. Gotcha. Wendy Hunter is a member saying, I really disliked how they said they were taking away free speech. It wasn't that at all. No, it was not. It's not like the administration came in and said, nope, we can't let you talk anymore. No, it was, he made a comment that was intrinsically wrong, verifiably false, and he did it at a time when things are already pretty crazy, and it was that same methodology and same ideology he was pushing that led to the person taking those actions. And so, therefore, survey says, what? Ding, ding, ding. Hardwick. According to Quarter Black Garrett, Zachary Levi has been a closet conservative for a long time. He used to call in without a Crowder after hours off years ago. Interesting. Interesting, then, that he would have gone the RFK Jr. route, then, of all things. All right. Caught up with the chat there. Let me see if I can find out more about the situation going on with Sinclair. Let's see. Sinclair Broadcasting. Oh, well, that's man, wow. Whoo, boy. All right. Again, remember we talked about evil earlier? Let me once again provide you some more evidence of this. All right. Here's more evidence of the evil, okay? Sinclair Broadcast Group cancels Charlie Kirk tribute after threats to ABC affiliates. Sinclair Broadcast Group canceled a planned 1-hour tribute to assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk minutes before its September 20th, 2025 broadcast. I actually did not hear about this. On its ABC affiliate stations due to multiple violent threats, including a shooting at the Los Angeles outlet that drew FBI investigation or intervention. Special title, Life and Legacy of Charlie Kirk, was Sinclair's response to ABC's suspension of Jimmy Kimmel over his post-assassination monologue, mocking Kirk, with the company demanding an apology and intending to air a tribute in 30 markets. ABC reinstated Kimmel on September 22nd, while Sinclair announced it would replace his program with news content across affiliates, highlighting ongoing media tensions following Kirk's September 10th shooting death in Utah. Wow. That's so crazy. Wow. Man. This is insane. It comes from both sides, though, right? Oh, yeah. It's all both sides. The fact that Sinclair, though, caved into pressure. Now, I get this one because it's direct violence against their actual stations. But it definitely does say, so this is how things work. The left, political left, whatever phrase we want to use for it, right? Because different words, different meanings. They can go out of their way to cause havoc, to cause violence, and then they get their way. Whereas, quote unquote, conservatives who are critical of someone whose comments are incorrect, factually incorrect on a broadcast network, and meant to continue to inflame these tensions that are causing actions like what happened to these ABC stations, calling that cancel culture and saying that's a violation of freedom of speech. Okay. Double standard. Rules for thee, not for me, I see. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So that was from about 4 hours ago. Yanked because of violent threats to ABC. Wow. Let me see if I can find anything on Nexstar. Nexstar Media Group. I'm assuming this is them. So no comments from what I can see. So I think that's going to be the ultimate test. That's going to be the ultimate thing that decides whether or not this return by him. Excuse me 1 second. So whether this return of Jimmy Kimmel is actually going to go ahead or is going to actually be as effective as anything else. Because if you don't have your affiliate networks, you don't have anything. You got to be able to talk to somebody in order to talk, right? King and Rumsky, you know how I know Hollywood is evil? Because they kept us from our math meme tonight. Evil. You know what? That's a great point. That's an excellent point. So let's we don't give in to evil here. We don't give in to that kind of pressure. Kick and Rumsky. So you know what we're gonna do? You know what? Here you go.
Time to see a real math magician at work.
That's right, everybody. It's time for the math. Time to see a real math magician at work. Yeah, you thought we weren't going to get this tonight, but we will. We're going to have a shorter show tonight, though, because my the cough is just... I need some tea, and I need to be able to, cough out whatever phlegm nonsense is kind of building up in my lungs right now. Really not a whole lot has changed, though, since the weekend numbers came out. So we had some numbers come in a little bit lower. So Spinal Tap actually came in a little bit lower in the actuals versus the estimates. Long Walk came in stronger actually in the second weekend box office. So just a little bit better. And then Downton Abbey came in actually a little bit under where it was expected to be in its second weekend as well. In all these cases, we're talking about films that are set to lose quite a bit of money. A Long Walk is the only film out of these that has a chance to break even, at least theatrically. I do think that this is a movie that could probably still break even, VOD, Blu-ray 4K, and with Lionsgate, especially with how they do their distribution internationally. You could see some money already being got back there potentially as well, depending on whatever those deals might have been. But Conjuring Last Rites, $100 million net profits. Weapons, $70 million in net profits. Freaker Friday, profitable. Sketch, for all we can tell, profitable as well. That was also Angel Studios. But as you can see, Angel Studios is kind of, it has a ceiling, right? It basically gets stuck in those single-digit numbers. And I do think that that is something that it's going to have to try to address, because even if it, can cover any of the costs that they put out there, if it's not going to continue to grow, that is going to ultimately hurt it down the line. For some context, that film opened to roughly $5 million opening weekend, $7 million by the end of its second weekend. So it has not made much. It's made $1 million more. So this percentage here shows you too. The Angel crowd, they show up this first 2 weeks and then they disappear. They're not growing their audience. And again, just following the rate of inflation alone, you need to at the very least be able to grow your audience even just a little bit. And at least theatrically, they don't seem to be doing that at this point in time. Don't seem to be doing that at this point in time. So, all right. Let me head back into the chat, and then we will start to wrap things up so that way I can rest my voice a little bit and cough out some of this nastiness. All right. Jimmy A says here, I hope one day our children and grandchildren will look back on these times with disgust and contempt. I agree. I really do. I mean, as a society, the fact that someone like Destiny can put forth the vile, disgusting comments that he does, and it's not even that he's platformed, the fact that he has an audience, that to me is the most disturbing thing. People actually watch him. People actually want to watch him. People actually want to support him. That's the disturbing thing to me. And as a Catholic, keep in mind, as a Catholic, we don't have the same understanding of freedom of speech that an American mindset might have. Because I don't support freedom of speech. I am not a freedom of speech absolutist. I personally, again, as a Catholic, I believe in blasphemy laws. Because I think error has no rights. Now, you could disagree with me on that one. And obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people that will disagree with me. But this is also why I have no bones about blocking people in the comment section, amongst other things. Not only because one, error has no rights, but also because if comments are going to lead me or others to sadness, to anger, frustration, it's not worth it. But it's crazy. Crazy that someone like Destiny can exist right now and have an audience. That's the most disturbing thing to me, is that he has an audience still. It's one thing if he was just a crazy loon spouting things off. It would still be disturbing. It would still be disgusting. And it would be things, you know what, maybe this guy needs to be investigated and maybe thrown into a loony bin to get some help. Because honestly, I think he does need quite a bit of help. But no, it's even worse because he actually has an audience. And there's people that actually either, one, think that he's smart, or two, think that he's funny. And that's disturbing. That to me is one of the most disturbing things. Because, yeah, to live in a society and a culture where that kind of a person can have an actual audience, that's disturbing. Jimmy A saying, Destiny's comments don't surprise me. He literally mocked the gentleman that died in the Trump. Oh, yeah, I remember. And that's the thing. He clearly does it for attention. So, again, the fact that people will support him. So it's not like people who will, say his name, or people that will like talk about him. No. Again, he clearly does this for attention. And I know some would say, oh, it's better just not mention him at all. No. We have to, because he does have an audience. There are people that actually watch him. There are people that actually listen to him. There are people that actually think he is worth listening to. That's the most disturbing thing to me. Jasmine Dragon saying, as someone who is a free speech absolutist, Destiny and Hassan terrify me. Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't think that a lot of their comments would fall under, even, I would hope that even a free speech absolutist would say incitement to violence is not protected. I would argue, clear incitement to violence is not protected speech. I don't think it should be. Especially if you are one like them where they actually have that kind of an influence. But Hardwick saying, I find it weird that a man would go by the name Destiny. Destiny sounds like the kind of name you'd expect from someone dancing next to the Crystal and Misty at the Boom Boom Room. Nice. Jimmy A. Destiny is still mentally an edgy 15-year-old. If Zack Snyder chose to be a political commentator, dude, that's exactly what it is, man. Like I remember I was describing that to someone earlier. Maybe it was over the weekend on a stream or something like that. But yeah, Destiny he's a child. That's all that he is. Only children go out of their way to say disgusting things to get attention. He's just a big child. He reminds me a lot of the New Atheist movement from back in the day, right? From back in the 90s. Because they were kind of, some of them were a very similar stripe, right? Where it was all about being like, oh, we're so edgy, we're so against the common thing. But over time, you get older. Over time, you should hopefully gain wisdom. In his case, he's still just the 15-year-old. But again, the bigger problem to me is not that he's saying something. It's because the issue is that he actually has an audience that thinks his comments are worth listening to. That's a cultural sickness. That's a cultural problem. And I think, again, all these things tie together with the main topic of the night, which, again, is the evil being perpetuated by Hollywood. Short saying, Piers Morgan makes really good money platforming idiots like Destiny. Yeah, I'm hoping that with the more recent comments, he stops. He really should not be platformed in that way. The whole deplatforming thing, I think any of his comments where he has stated things that is in any way pushing for people to commit acts of violence, I think that should be investigated to the fullest extent of the law. Period. And that goes for anybody. If anyone is going to make comments calling for or insinuating that people should go out of their way to cause violence to others, I personally don't think that should be protected. It's one thing to share your opinion. Freedom of speech was meant to allow you to share your opinions. It was not meant for you to gloat about the death of a person and to call for the violence against other people. But again, this is coming from someone that's not an absolutist when it comes to freedom of speech. So anyway, that's going to be it for me, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, because I need to rest my voice and I need to hack out some of this phlegm, which is in my lungs right now. So I appreciate y'all very, very much for putting up with my rant tonight as well. This is a crazy time to live in. Still, obviously, was able to get my box office conversation in as well. But I go back to the main story that kind of set a lot of this off. Again, 400 celebrities willing to put their name out there for a multimillionaire who was not canceled, was not persecuted by the government, but was the victim of his own comments. Just like anyone else in any job faces consequences for their actions. That's exactly what happened to him. But oh no, we celebrities have to stand up to tyranny that doesn't actually exist, all the while staying completely silent on the death of Charlie Kirk. That's disgusting. Doesn't matter what you think about him. Doesn't matter what your opinion is on Charlie Kirk the man, on Charlie Kirk the political commentator. Does not matter. Human decency. Just like I did not like when people, and it was very rare, I did not see too many people doing this, but there were some. I did not like when people were gloating at the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice. I don't think gloating about the death of anybody. And in that case, it was not an act of violence that caused it. It's natural causes. It was just the ebbs and flows of life. And she did a lot of evil too. She justified the murder of millions of innocent children. So I make no bones about that. I don't take glee or joy in her death. That just shows you, though, the sickness going on right now in our world, in our culture. And we are the ones that need to bring that change about. We're the only ones that can do it in our families, amongst our friend groups. Jasmine Dragon, I can finally catch another live stream. Glad all is well. Hey, Jasmine Dragon, Super Anime Gamer, appreciate you being here tonight. Justin C, feel better and good night, sir. Yeah, good night to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to go get some tea and relax a little bit. Caveat Ties, thanks for being here. Guys, thank you all very much for watching. Please make sure you smash that like button, light that fire button. No, remember, I'm not on Odyssey anymore. Odyssey was just being too annoying at this point. But anyway, smash the Rumble button as well for my people watching over on Rumble. Again, thank y'all very much for y'all's support tonight. Obviously, we've got couple of people. King Rumsky, of course, who's always over there. Guillermo Gage gave a lot of Rumble rants tonight. So Guillermo Gage, I appreciate you early on laying those out there and for your questions. I really do appreciate it. Mr. Roy, thank you for being chosen a Valhalla member. Laura, the Mando Major General Story, thank you for mine tonight as well, for being awesome as you always are. Anyway, you guys are amazing. Beautiful people. Have a wonderful rest of your day. A blessed Monday. And as always, God bless. And now let me give a shout out to all of my Chosen of Valhalla members, starting off first with my Patreon members, Father Luca Illick, hail to you, Father, and also to Miss Mountain Muses. Check out her YouTube channel by the same name, Miss Mountain Muses. She is very lovely, great, awesome Catholic faith-based content over there. You'll also find over on Subscribestar my member Matt317. He is on Twitch with the same channel name, Matt317. Shout out to you, good sir. And also to a longtime member here, Mr. Roy, my Chosen of Valhalla member here on YouTube. Mr. Roy, thank you for always hanging out and for always being a part of this channel. It does mean a lot, as well as it does for all of my Chosen of Valhalla members. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream or video, or if you want it listed in that list that was playing just before, just now, check out the top link in the video description below. You'll find out how to get those types of shout outs at the end of every live stream and video. Not to mention, you get access to bonus video content and also access to a Discord server where there are a couple of channels on there where I do giveaways every single month. In fact, I do multiple giveaways every single month. I try to make it so that I'm giving away Blu-rays and 4Ks that make up at least 4 or 5 different giveaways. Sometimes I have to put them in all towards the very end because back in the school session, of course, now means that I'm going to be a little bit more delayed there. But I know that I'm about to put on right now a giveaway for the film Ballerina, the 4K steelbook of that. I've got a couple of copies there, so I'm going to be putting that available along with a bunch of other films that I have just, again, gotten piled up over the last couple of weeks. So if you want access to things like that, if you want access to a great community, you guys seriously are all amazing and beautiful. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.